Welcome to the Data Democracy, presented by renowned O'Reilly author Ole Olesen-Bagneux, empowered by Xenia. Make your data accessible and discoverable by anyone, anywhere, at any time.
Hi everybody, you're listening to the Data Democracy and I'm your host Ole Olesen-Bagneux, Chief Evangelist in Xenia and the author of the Enterprise Data Catalog published by O'Reilly. In this podcast we explore what an enterprise data democracy is with knowledgeable guests. Today's guest is Charlotte Ledoux. Charlotte is a freelance data governance manager at Pernod Ricard and the co-organizer of Paris Data Ladies. I wanted to chat with Charlotte because she's deeply into data and AI governance with a firm knowledge on the French tech scene, which is quite booming these years. Here are some takeaways from my conversation with Charlotte. First, a data leader takeaway. Being a data entrepreneur is something everyone should try, and if it doesn't work, well, never ever regret that you tried. And that's luckily the case in France, that it's okay to try and fail. Doesn't matter, move on, try something else, gain some more experience. Second, the data democracy takeaway. The end state of AI regulation should be like GDPR. This is a super important, super simple insight that Charlotte shared. This means simply that regulation should not limit but facilitate AI. And I really encourage you to listen into what Charlotte has to say on that one. And then a personal takeaway. I have never, ever met a man that didn't want more women in tech. I don't think these men exist. Maybe they do, but we should end that now. We should really agree that we should close the gender gap in tech once and for all. So I hope that will happen soon. It's boring that there are not more women in tech. Okay, that's enough of me talking. Let's hear what Charlotte has to say. Hi, Charlotte.
Hi, Ole.
I am happy to have you on. So, for the listeners, do you care explain a little bit about where you're based and what you do, and also what you've worked with previously in your career?
Sure. So really happy to be here and to share a little bit of my expertise and background. So I'm Charlotte. I'm based in Paris. I have an engineering degree, and then right away I went in consulting. I did some consulting first in supply chain management and logistics. I mean, in France, I traveled a little bit in Europe for some customers. And then I was working on sales forecasting for a company. And that's how I went really, into data and AI. It was the beginning, and then I decided to go further on that path, and I went to another consulting firm specialized in data and AI, where I was what we called a data consultant, and then I did actually a lot of work around data governance with them. And then I had a short experience trying to start my own company with three associates, and then we had to stop due to some difficulties that we faced. And since about a year now, I am a freelance consultant, specialized data and AI governance, which were what I was doing since a whole since quite a long time actually, but I was not really doing it on my own. But now it's the case, and I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I mean, I'm very, very happy where I am, but I also had my own consultancy company prior to joining Xenia, but that was next to my full-time job, so was a little too busy. But it's super fun to be a freelancer, I think. So you've been doing it for a year, is that it?
Yeah, I started in January of this
Okay.
year.
So just out of curiosity, I mean, but how does it feel if you're based in France to launch a company and then you have some, as you mentioned, you had some difficulties. I mean, most startups, they have to stop at a certain time, right? The
Yeah.
different approaches to how that feels in the world. How does is that considered like a normal thing in France to launch something and then you have to let it go because of various reasons?
Mm,
Or
yeah, yeah, I think a lot of people try because I must say in France it's quite easy to try in the sense that you have a lot of help, from the government. It's quite easy at first, at least, to get some financial help.
oh,
Uh, so yeah, I mean, you see a lot of companies launching, trying, but yeah, I think what's hard is to admit that maybe you didn't do the right choices, or maybe the timing wasn't right for your concept, and then deciding to stop. It's a lot mentally, but
mm,
I think at first I saw this like, okay, this is a failure. This is gonna look bad in my resume and everything, but it's actually not, and it's perceived as something great because like you tried, you have this mindset of entrepreneur that many companies look for. So in the end, I think it's still a positive experience, and I'm really glad actually that even in France, people see this as a positive experience.
well, I am glad to hear that. I think that's just the way it should be, right? I think it's a typical thing for Europeans to be like, I did a startup, it didn't
Yeah,
work, I failed. I mean, that's not how it should be, right? We should really have the possibility to just try stuff out, and if it works, let's all be happy about it. And if it doesn't, you still have learned a lot. Like you're just
yeah.
saying, you have learned an immensely lot. So I'm really happy to hear that that's the kind of feedback you get, and that's definitely also the feedback you should be getting. I wholeheartedly support. Okay, so Charlotte, moving into the questions at hand, I noticed that you are a top data governance voice, and I would definitely like to know more about your take on data governance. So, for me and the listeners, could you share your understanding of data governance?
Yeah. Funny is that I recently, maybe you noticed, I did this post to explain data governance in like 2 minutes, and it got a lot of reaction. I didn't expect that. I was quite happy, but I think it shows that it needs to be clarified in an easier way so that everyone can really understand. Because when you say data governance, it feels like it's a weird concept or something that is like complex.
Hmm.
So yeah, to just maybe to make it simple, I would say it's really a framework that companies are using to value data that they have throughout their company. So that's it. And then in this framework, you can put many things. You can have rules, you can have processes, you can have tools, you can have whatever works for you. But in the end, all data governance is here to help the company make data a valuable asset.
Yeah,
That's how
I
I would say it.
I like the simplicity of that. I can definitely connect to that. So there are also in your description, in your title, there's also this connection to AI.
Mhm.
And I know you focus a lot on data governance, but still, how would you characterize the relation between data governance at its core and then AI governance, or whatever we should call that link to AI? How would you describe that?
Yeah. Yeah, when I was in my previous years working for a consulting firm in data and AI, I think it's quite funny that at first I was helping like chief data officers or C levels to define their data strategy and the use cases around AI. It was very AI focused, like what should we do? How can we have some AI use cases that look cool and everything? So that's what I did the first years that I was there, and then I would say it changed in the way that okay, once they had done one or two projects that were so hard for data scientists who were spending like a lot of time just collecting data, understanding data, like making it to the right quality level. Then companies realize like, okay, so maybe we should work on data before before working on AI. And that's really how it happened for me. So I think it shows that companies have shifted a little bit, and that they realize they need to work on their data as assets. So yeah, that's for me, that's the link. And I think now maybe in the next coming years, once companies have worked a lot on arriving to this point where data is at the right quality level, is correctly managed, labeled, and everything we expect from data governance, then there will be again, I would say, a shift the other way, where we come back to AI and we are like, okay, now we need also governance for our algorithm, because we will need this algorithm to be responsible, to be transparent, to be make sure that there's no bias in the results and everything. So I think, yeah, we will come back to AI governance very shortly, especially now we see also the regulation that is coming.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
yeah, so I'm expecting to do the to go back.
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I would say I went from AI to data, and I'm expecting to go from data to AI very soon.
yeah, yeah. I like that kind of loop you described there, and we will get deeper into to those elements as the conversation unfolds a bit more. Um, okay, so another thing on your resume is that you're part of Paris Data Ladies. What is that all about?
Yeah, so when I was in the consulting firm, the second one that I joined, who were specialized on data and AI, they had this initiative where they really wanted to have meetups dedicated to giving a voice to women in data and AI. So they created the meetup internally, and then we were like several people got involved in the organization,
Hmm.
and then it grew so well. It was quite actually almost surprising, but I think at this moment it was before COVID, so
Hmm.
lots of events taking place in Paris around data and AI, like a big topic that was growing. So yeah, we now have more than 3,000 members on our
Oh.
meetup page, so it's quite big now. Yeah, and then it evolved, and I would say we were the people who were organizing it were part of this consulting firm, but then our careers evolved too, and we went to other companies and everything, but we
Hmm.
always kept organizing these events together. So yeah, it's still going on. I have an event at end of November at Mano Mano, which is a French marketplace.
Hmm.
And yeah, we always look for companies to host the event, because we are not like a we don't have funds. We are not a financial company. It's the meetup we organized are just events, and they're not we don't make people pay for them to go there. So it's really the company who is the host will pay a little bit for having people coming over during the event and then having a drink after, but that's it. There's no like, we're not looking for money. That's what I
No,
want to
no.
say.
Yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
Yeah, the goal is really to have women speakers only during the event.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly support that. It's it's really great. I want to know. So just for the listeners and for you, Charlotte, by the time this episode airs, the event will have happened. So how many people do you expect to come at such an event?
Yeah, so usually we have between 80 or 100 people
Great.
coming to our events. Sometimes we also have some hybrid version where people can connect remotely.
Mhm.
But yeah, overall it's about 100 person at each meetup.
So I guess what motivates you to create this, to be part of organizing these events?
Yeah, we are 10
Oh,
female co-organizers. So that's also, I would say, really this small group that is really enjoyable because we support each other. Now we have our own track, our own careers, and our own network. And it's great to be able to still share these moments together, to think, okay, we need female speakers in this industry or in this topic. Who can we find and everything? I think it's super interesting. We always meet great, great people, and I think my goal is that when I meet women who are specialized in a field or in a topic who have done great things, I'm always surprised that they don't really want to talk about it because they don't feel legitimate.
yeah,
And it's very
yeah.
surprising, and I'm like, okay, do you notice that, I don't know, before you, men have been speaking about this subject even if they don't know a thing. You've been
Yeah.
studying the subject for like 10 years. I think you could say a word or two that would interest people. So yeah, the
Exactly.
idea for me is, yeah, it's my goal to have more women taking the lead and speak about what they do.
I I really really agree in this. Personally, it's really difficult to get women on the show here. Well, it's
Mm.
not difficult, but it's just I notice that it takes a little more persuasion than with men.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I wish it would stop because I think women are very, very much needed in tech. I have my own personal
Mhm.
idiosyncratic. It's completely idiosyncratic, but I think that there are many problems in tech and data that can be boiled down to the fact that there are too many men in this business. But this is totally off topic. But I wish there would be more active women. So I'm really happy that you're doing. To what extent do you see a gender gap in the French tech scene? Is it really like a lot of men and not so many women, or is it getting closer? I mean, I follow it from a distance. Of course, I'm based out of Copenhagen, but I work in Paris now.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing it a little closer than I used to, but still, I mean, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of effort, and if you look at the split men women on like the big tech companies, or the scale ups in France, it's not that bad. It's you look, it will reach like 40, maybe 45%.
Hmm.
But what's really interesting actually is to look at management positions. And
Hmm.
that's where the gap is still really, really huge. I was just looking at numbers because there's this really interesting study that is done by Sista and BCG, who are always working on this topic of gender gap. And in their last studies, it showed that in the next 40 in France, there's only 13% of women in management positions for these companies. So it's still really low, actually. Um,
Mm.
and among these, if you look at specific positions like CTO, it goes down to like 3%. So,
Oh,
yeah.
horrible.
So
That's
even overall on the companies, they manage to have this kind of equality in numbers of employees. It's getting closer, but in
mm,
management positions, it's still terrible. So
mm, mm.
so again, about, yeah, that it connects with what we were saying previously, like having the trust, the confidence to take leadership position.
Mm.
This is really hard for women.
Yeah, it is. I mean, statistically, that is really something that is undebatable. Um, I hope it will change. I really hope. So broadening the question a little bit to the tech scene in France in general, I've been following it closely because I've been following like tech scenes in Europe in general.
Mm.
I think there's a lot of very, very positive things going on in Europe when it comes to new tech. Uh, uh, I think a lot of bright people are emerging all across this old continent, and that's really positive. And but I don't know. I mean, in general, so the tech scene in France, is it doing well? Is it not doing well? What's happening these years? Is it booming, or is there something missing? How would you describe it?
Mm, yeah, I mean, we could say that it's been booming in the sense like, yeah, lots of projects, startups going on. Also, I would say lots of open source projects
Hmm.
in tech that's we could see that are super interesting. And then, yeah, on the other hand, I think regarding the fact that it's, quite, like I said, quite easy to get some financial help.
Hmm.
The problem I see with that is that a lot of projects will get some financial help to start, but it's like you give a little bit to everyone instead of maybe being like, okay, we should give a lot to a few, but at least for these few we will make sure that they will go far and that they will not have to close the company in like 6 months. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, yeah. So perhaps you're actually wishing for a little tougher prioritization then.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
okay,
Because,
yeah.
yeah, when you compare the amount of funding, they are quite low in France compared to the US for like similar companies or similar topics,
Hmm. Yeah.
showing that, yeah, maybe of course there is less money available or whatever, but it's also because we don't prioritize topics and we give a little bit to everyone, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. That that could very well be true. I mean, following it from the outside a little bit, I've seen that you France has managed to create how many unicorns was it in the first period of
Yeah,
Emmanuel
maybe
Macron's 25?
20 or 20,
Yeah,
yeah, something
that's
like
really
that.
impressive. I mean, for for
Mm,
a Western European country like catching up with the involvement in tech, I think that's quite impressive. So, but still, I mean, of course, you need to adjust, and then we also have this problem in Europe that at some point we need to sell to the Americans, right? I mean, there's
yeah,
just no other way. Um, except if we want to keep the companies, like not sell them, but simply keep them, put them on the stock exchange, and leave them for our kids. That should also be something we should all consider. Not selling all of our companies. Okay, Charlotte, I would also like to ask you, and this is my final question actually. What your hopes are for AI in this decade. You touched a little bit upon it in the beginning of our conversation, but
yeah.
uh, what do you think AI will help us do, and what should we expect, and perhaps even more specifically for you, how should we govern it?
Um, yeah, so I think there's been still a lot of news. Like, I mean, even if you watch, I think it was this week, the OpenAI conference.
Mhm.
So we can see that it's moving so fast. We can do great things. Like it's like we are having basically some small assistant, for every aspect of our lives, I would say.
Yeah,
So what does it mean? Like, are we losing jobs? I don't think so, because I think it will be like powerful full tools to help us be more productive, be smarter in our decisions, in what we want to do in the future. That's at least that's what I hope for. Um, and yeah, governance will be key. There's the regulation coming for the AI Act. I also read that last week some European countries and even the US or a lot of countries signed something on for a responsible AI. This was signed in the UK last week, I think.
Yeah. They had the Responsible AI Summit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So great news because of course there will be some bad sides of it. I mean, if you could, use anybody's voice, imitate, you can, reach for so many bad ideas that could come up with this. So we need
Yeah.
to be very careful. I hope the regulation will be at the right level, but also flexible, because if it's not, then we're been going to be like, okay, we cannot move on or we cannot innovate and everything. So it's really hard, I think, for right now to find the right balance regarding the regulation, but I hope it will be done in a clever way. Let's hope for that. And we will have a lot of work as consultants to make sure that the regulation is respected. We will have to come up with some framework for companies to respect the regulation, making sure it's easy to implement. We'll have to come up with some auditing framework as well. So I guess for consultants, it's a great topic to catch up right now and to come up with some great ideas for companies to grab these regulations easily. So for consulting, that's what I see. Take this topic and package things so that companies can do it easily. It's like when we had GDPR in 2017. It was like, okay, this is huge. How are we going to do? Do we need to delete all the personal data that we have?
Yeah.
In the end, no. And there's still, I think, for the GDPR, they actually found somehow a flexibility.
Mm.
Um, I mean, there's been some great things like asking for consent.
Exactly.
Um, so I hope we can do the same for AI in some ways. That's what I hope. And and again, for GDPR, we came up with some solutions. Of course, consulting, but not only. There's been some vendors coming up with some solutions to make it easy to classify the data if it's personal, sensitive, or whatever. So I'm sure we'll come up also with some solutions to make sure that AI is trustworthy, transparent, and non-biased.
Yeah. But that's a really great way to explain it. Actually, just comparing it very concretely with GDPR and hoping for a way to manage AI that will match the security and flexibility of GDPR. I mean,
Yeah,
GDPR didn't put industries out of business, right? It just
mm,
ensured that we had civic rights and that data was treated democratically. The
yeah,
topic of this podcast is actually that, right? I tend sometimes to forget it, but it's a really nice perspective, Charlotte. I like to think of it like that. Okay, so I want to thank you for being on. It was great having you, and I hope to connect from time to time in Paris when I'm at the
sure.
headquarters in Senea. Would be great.
Yeah, it would be great. And don't forget the Paris Data Ladies meetup. If you have any recommendation for some female speakers, I would be happy to have them.
Yes, of course, you bet. I will send you a long list.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, Charlotte.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.